Hello student, good morning. Welcome to Vanik Smart Class. You know that current affairs, that class which was scheduled today. Let me before starting the class, so let me discuss something about the current affairs. You know it very well that in this examination, the importance of current affairs. Current affairs is very important for the preliminary, for the main, as well as for the viva. In the preliminary, around 20 questions on current affairs and another 10 relating to current affairs are usually asked out of that 100 question. And that expresses the importance of this around 20 plus minus 10 plus 10, that means 25 to 30 questions, that means carrying around 50 to 60 marks out of 200 are current related. And if the government schemes are added to that, so at times this may be going slightly more than that. Coming to the main examination for the civil service UPSC or the state services like Odisha, West Bengal. So current affairs also is very important, because you know that in the main examination the current affairs portion, that in paper 1 and paper 2 of the main syllabus in general studies, in the, let me come to this UPSC first. The UPSC, you have substantial part like international relation affairs section is there, international relation is there, cultural aspect with current related is there, economy is very dynamic. Then so many other issues, they have their relevance. So out of 1000, so substantial part 30% plus are current related. Coming to the state services, if you calculate out of 600 marks in general studies, so around 200 marks directly or indirectly linked to So we'll take up these questions subsequently. So let me explain the things first. So coming to the current affairs in the OCS main examination. So 200 marks out of 600 so are current related. And if you see the trend of the questions, even in history, relevance of Gandhi, the present scenario, it's current related. Coming to geography, the natural calamities like tsunami, flood, its impact, the steps taken by the government on that, they are current related. Any measures taken by the government, like that the different programs launched by the government in that agriculture, in the mining sector, or in manufacturing, etc., are also current related. So apart from the international, bilateral, national development, economic development, development science and technology, even the cultural aspect, role of that ICAR or any cultural relations or that UNESCO list, so they have also current dimension. So that is the main part. Then coming to the viva, if you have any of you have ever appeared the viva, or if you have interacted with anyone who has ever appeared the viva, you can get a better feedback that what is the importance of this current affairs section in the viva of the personality test. You know very well that the viva, the board. So when they come to the interview, before coming to the interview, so obviously they being senior experienced persons, they at least have the day before the news, that they must have the clear vision of the news, that developments, and before coming to the board, they must have scanned the news of the day. So that is what. So most of the viva starts with the developments, and you have to be very proactive in that. Not only about the what of what happened, but the why and the how and its relation. That what can be the interlinked question with that. So overall, this section is very important. And at our side, at Vanik, we are always trying to update you as per the current exam trend for the UPSC as well as for the state services. So in this section, that the sir was taking the classes, so we are just giving you some regular daily development sheets on a very regular basis. Because of this COVID pandemic, it was discontinued for nearly 2.5 months or so, but we have started updating it on a very regular daily basis. And we expect that you are going through all the developments that we are giving you on a very day-to-day basis, because Current affairs is like a fast food. If you delay taking it, so it became stale. And so no one like to take the fast food when it became cool. Neither the soup nor the any other fast food. So that is the main reason. Current affairs should be completed the same day. So you should not keep it pending for the next day. That let me take it in the next day. No, that's not a right habit. Rather, we should go for that. Let me complete the section whatever given to me the same day at the same time before going to bed. So that will be keeping you updated. And so more you are updating yourself when you are going to bed, just sit over there for 30 minutes and just try to just get an feedback from your own side. What is my observation of the day? How much I have taken? How much I have digested? And what is the net content that is still in my memory? Because so you suppose you come across that Atmanirbhar Bharat. So that's the program lunch. So have a clear idea. So you have read that in that day to the new assignment that we have given you. So you are being exposed to that. But at the end of the day, what is your digestion out of that? So ensure that whatever you have read. So I will also advise that please jot down at least 5 points. If you jot down 5 points, try to remember them in point format. So what this program is? So when it was lunch, what is objective? To whom it is going to cater? What will be its advantage? So if you go on adding points like this, so things will be very clear before you that I am able to collect these things, and at least out of the information that are with me, I am able to keep 5 in my mind. And in the examination, because before doing the examination, you are reading it daily. At the end of the month, you just do one thing, read the entire stuff again. And those who are thinking that yes, I am unable to remember, I will advise you to go for a weekly brush up again. So revise at the weekend, then second revision at the end of the month, and so before the examination, you are revising the entire thing again. So at least 4 time revision will definitely make you much confident, because the things will be definitely so, because your brain is so strong. Never underestimate your mental caliber or strength of your brain. It can take anything, because right now your brains are completely blank. So full load can be given on that. So that is why you try to do. So try to read, remembering at least 5 points on each and every topic that is being given over here. And the most important thing that I am going to discuss is to develop writing habit, because ultimately in your examination, what matters the most is your writing, how you are writing, because all the students who are going for the main examination, they are very serious, they are very sincere, and they prepare well, because none compromise on the main preparation. But how you are writing, the quality of your writing will definitely determine your performance there and your ultimate ranking. That is the main. And coming to the Viva, in the Viva, how you are interacting, how you are presenting the things in a very lucid manner, with politeness, with confidence, and with all the facts in your command. So you may commit a factual error, but the concept is clear. So suppose take the example that Make in India initiative. So you may not able to know that when it was lunch, the exact date, or this Mahatma Gandhi Norega or Swachh Bharat Mission, but at least what is the program is. So what this program, for whom it is lunch. So exact date or a specific data may be missing from your mind, but the conceptual clarity must be there. And that the examiner at the Viva board want, because they want to interact with you, because you are going to be the administrator implementing most of the government programs, and you must be very well aware about these things. So what is most expected from you is how you are, your own vision or your own concept on them, and what is your mental caliber, so how you can implement them and take the things into a better light. That's why it is very important. So you are preparing for 3 stages: preliminary, main and Viva. I have told you that what should be your strategy for the 3 different types of examination. Preliminary, factual. You cannot underrepresent facts there, because here the questions will be more factual. In the main, it will be more analytical. So you have to analyze. So make an assessment of that Make in India. Make an assessment as the Mahatma Gandhi Norega are the mother of all employment generation program in the country. So that whether this national rural development program launched by the government since independence have really brought development to rural India. So that's what or any other things, so that your analytical point is more expected and how better you are doing it for the main. Then for the Viva, what is the expectation? In the Viva, you are supposed to interact and tell all the links, because you know you are all must be reading the polity that the question hour in the parliament or the state legislature. So the question now star question, answer questions in the your main examination is like the on star question. So the answer can be in written, but your star questions can be asked in the hall directly. So similarly, before the interview, you are being asked the star questions, and supplementary can be asked. So in a particular topic, so they open up with one thing. So nationalism. So why nationalism? What is nationalism? Why it emerged? What is Odisha, the situation in Odisha right now? Whether it is falling or it is growing? If it is falling, what is the reason behind that? Or if it is falling in other states, not only in Odisha, but even in states like West Bengal, in Andhra Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh, the national violence is on a falling spree. What is the reason behind that? And what more can be taken? What are the government measures for that? Is there any loopholes in the implementation of the government measures, for which it has not yet been completely eliminated from India, although the program has been launched 3 decades back? So that the examiner will want. So I have seen students in the, even the UPSC board, so who have been asked same questions, and because of their lucid manner of explanation of the concept, so they are able to score very good marks. And that's why your preparation. So don't make a preparation that let me prepare first for the preliminary, then I'll go for the main, then once I clear the main, I'll go for the Viva. No, that is very wrong approach. Your approach should be clearly, I am preparing for this examination, preliminary will come on the way, main will come, another hurdle, and the Viva, I am to be very proactive over there. So preliminary factual content, main elaborate or analytical concept, and in the Viva, your interactive power. How you are able to convince the board, the person sitting in front of you, well experienced, so more knowledgeable, and have their own mental clarity on every questions they are going to ask you. So you are to be up to that caliber, and this is the right time when you are covering any topic. Try to have at least a very clarity of the concept and go on proceeding. So let's start. I hope that whatever I told in the last 10 minutes are going to your mind, and that will give you a new orientation in your preparation, because you are not preparing for any clerical level or other job. You are preparing for the civil service, which is the most elite job in the country, and you are being the going with the administrators, implementing most of the things exactly in the field. You know, small example I am telling. So you all are being, we are all being exposed to the COVID situation, pandemic right now. But you see, the administrators who have joined the job right now, they are in the field as the Corona warrior. So freshly recruited students in the Odisha Civil Service directly being posted in the field to take care of these things, and on average doing excellent job. Well, commendable job they are doing and well acclaimed. So that means you must be that energetic, must have a very clarity of the concept. So let's start this. Let me know what the government in a welfare country like India is doing for the people, and once I become an administrator, how I am going to implement them. Let me know the international scenario so I can learn from them, and so that will definitely help me in executing my sphere of activity when I join the job, and that will definitely widen your vision or your sphere. So that will definitely help you a lot. Let's start with the developments discussion. So let's start from the 13th September news. I hope that you have got it well in advance and might have gone through this. So let us discuss to some key issues on the development that I shared to you on 13th and 14th September. So let's go for the first. So in the first plot, we normally give the government welfare schemes launched by the government. So in this section, there is a declaration by the government of scheme launch reducing bio-CNG from the paddy stubble. You know, stubble burning is a very big issue, because that pollution in Delhi is somehow linked to the stubble burning in neighboring Punjab and Haryana. So, and that make the life in Delhi unbearable. So, that's why, because the farmers that Punjab and Haryana are agriculture much advanced, they have adopted technology in agricultural field. They use lot of machineries, and the harvesting process there is automated. So the stubble, so that the agriculture residue that is generated in the paddy field, so that we immediately dispose. So what normally they do, they put it on fire, just harvest the paddy, and that the stubble they burn it, and because that gives the fertility to the soil, and that make them to overcome those huge pile up of the agricultural residue laying on the field. It will be immediately clean for the next agricultural season. But that led to that led to creating lot of pollution. So government right now want to generate CNG or compressed natural gas from this paddy stubble. And with technology, so that technology always are developed to cater to the emerging needs. The Punjab Energy Development Agency, that in state of Punjab, in association with the government of Punjab, is creating alternative paddy stubble utilization. How those huge quantity of paddy stubble are to be utilized for generating power. That is the, may call that windfall, but that will definitely check the rising level of pollution. So it includes setting up biopower plants and producing bio-CNG from the paddy stubble biomass. It's a very unique method. So science has made us capable right now to go for CNG. CNG is a better fuel or environmentally more compatible fuel than the other petroleum products used in as energy source, like petrol and diesel, where these normally the vehicles are running. So CNG right now is being promoted, and if we use the stubble or paddy stubble to generate or produce CNG, bio CNG, so it will be like another big generation of income for the farmers, big employment opportunity for some other people who will be finding employment in that sector as well as. So the most important thing is that it will definitely reduce the level of pollution that is being generated by burning the stubble. So what is the issue here? Biomass power plants will establish. This Punjab Energy Development Agency or PEDA has set up 11 bio power plants. You see, so what they have established here? It is they will be establishing 11. Here it is 11 bio power plants where so 97.5 megawatt, 50 megawatt of power is generated. So this is like a very big promise for the future. In these plants, 8.80 lakh metric ton of paddy stubble is used annually to generate power. So that will be huge. So that is a very big step, and the government has taken the right direction in which they are able to launch these things in a very unique way, and this will give. So this is popularly known as the bioethanol project. So what is known as bioethanol project, and a bioethanol project of 100 kiloliter is being set up at Talwandi South in Bhatinda districts, and this will require 2 lakh metric tons of paddy stubble annually, and a huge income will be generated for the farmers. So advantage. So let's discuss the advantage. Farmers' income will be definitely increase. It will increase farmers' income because farmers will get, and call this another additional income instead of burning it. Then environmental benefit, it will definitely improve the environment because the pollution that is the result of this burning of the stubble will be no more there. The environment will find solace, and environmental benefit there, pollution will be checked. Entrepreneurship, because more entrepreneurs will develop, because some entrepreneur will be emerging in the field. The youth, particularly engineers, graduates in the science and technology, can start such project under the Startup India concept, because government has been promoting Startup India, and here we are promoting entrepreneurship. And if this is launched as a financially viable project, then lot many youth, especially who are technically qualified like engineers, even science graduates, they can take up these projects as entrepreneurs. Then next comes employment. So what is that? So because definitely this being a emerging area manufacturing or value addition. So more and more employment, educated unemployed youth in the rural Punjab will be definitely getting the benefit, because this will create a huge job opportunity. Not only those who will be working in the particular plant, but for carrying those stubble from the field to those plant site. So huge transport requirement will be there. In the transport, lot many employment will be generated definitely. So these are the advantages. And not only in Punjab, even Government of India is trying to establish such plants all over the country, and even in Odisha there is a plan to establish a bioethanol plant. So that residue, based on this agricultural residue in Western Odisha, because that Western Odisha is the granary of Odisha. So huge quantity of agricultural residue like the stubble are generated over there, and government has also planned to in Odisha to establish such a bioethanol plant in Odisha. So this is what, but there is some limitation. But the limitation, the current use of stubble in these plants is very small compared to generation of the stubble, because these plants have just been created. The number is limited, so that amount of stubble generated is much more than the amount of stubble actually needed in those plants. So, but it has a big scope in future if this becomes financially viable with government support, and this is giving some income to the farmers, to the entrepreneurs, and employment to others. So more and more entrepreneurs will definitely join in this field, and more such plant will be established, by which, so 3-4 advantage will be there. Stubble burning will stop, environmental level will be clean, employment will be there, and once this will also fulfill the rising energy need of a country like India, because in India our biggest challenge is because we are a energy hungry country or energy deficit country, and more energy we generate through these alternative sources. Government is right now trying to go for alternative sources. Once the government is able to make this a viable one, so that will be much advantage. And what are the other alternative to utilize the paddy stubble? They are also given here. So paddy stubble are used for terrafaction. Terrafaction is thermal process to convert biomass into coal-like materials which can be burnt in future. Fertilizer, normally you know that biofertilizers and your normal compost is created through these agricultural residues. Then mechanized management, stubble can be managed in 3 ways: by placing the leftover stubble under the earth, sowing wheat directly on the standing stubble in the field, and third by collecting it in bundles. But all these are going in, but their quantity of the stubble is becoming so huge that right now alternative is being considered by the government, and this alternative is a much well in tune with the requirement, and this will definitely solve a lot of problem in the stubble management, in reducing pollution, as well as the most important thing, solving the energy crisis and generating a better environmental clean source of energy in the country as an alternative to fossil fuel. And other government initiative has been given over here: promotion of agricultural mechanization, in situ management of crop residue. Agricultural mechanization. So the India has to learn it. Green Revolution, launched in the 1970s, has made Punjab and Haryana agriculturally advanced by using technology. But the strategy: HYB seeds, agro mechanization, and use of chemical fertilizer, pesticides. But right now, advanced irrigation facility. But that should be replicated in other states, and only the use of that chemical fertilizers, pesticides have to be substituted by using biofertilizer and biopesticides for a long-term sustainable agricultural practices in a country like India, where our protein production need to be increased in tune with our rising population. So that is what all about this news. Then we'll go to the next one. This Sarod Port, a dispute resolution mechanism. The Indian Shipping Ministry has launched this Sarod Port, Society for Affordable Redressal of Disputes regarding ports, through virtual ceremony in Delhi, because in this pandemic period we are avoiding all physical ceremony. So government has promoted this virtual ceremony, and through this Sarod mechanism, government want to create a mechanism, alternative mechanism to affordable redressal of disputes, because while the ports have to be created, so a lot of disputes emerge. So how to resolve it? What about this Sarod? So let's know what this Sarod is. So Sarod stands for Society for Affordable Redressal of Disputes. It established Shandong Society Registration Act 1860. Sarod Port is similar to the provision available in highway sector in the form of Sarod roads constructed by National Highway Authority of India (NHAI). It consists of the member from Indian Port Association, Indian Private Ports and Terminal Associations. You know, in the port in the country, port play very important role in our economy, in our transportation. You know, we have major ports, we have minor ports. We have ports in the government sector managed by the Port Trust of India. We have a number of ports in the private sector. Take example in Odisha. So in Odisha, Paradip is the government port or managed by the Port Trust of India. In West Bengal, the Haldia port is being managed by the Port Trust of India. But government since last few years has also launched a program to encourage private entrepreneurs or private parties who are interested to venture into the port sector to develop to launch port or develop a particular area as port which has the potentiality in the PPP mode. Which mode? They will be developing the ports in the public-private partnership mode. So in that context, the port infrastructure will be developed by the private party, but the required land and other permissions will be given by the government, and they will be operating for a contract period, and then it will be taken over by the government. Similarly, in case of highway, also right now we are going for PPP mode for developing highways also. So it then go to the news directly. It consists of meeting from Indian Port Association, Indian Private Port and Terminal Association. So what is function? What will be function? This Sarod Port will advise and assist in settlement of dispute through arbitration in the maritime sector, including port and shipping sector in major ports, non-major ports including private ports, jetties, terminals and harbours. It will also cover disputes between granting authority, licensing and contractors. Also dispute between licensee, concessionaires and their contractors arising out of any dispute during the course of execution by this contract, because right now government in the port is hiring private parties in the loading unloading activities. They are called the stevedoring activity. Somewhere is privatized, and this is where there is lot many disputes, and right now this being recognized, more and more entities are entering into the domain. So that's why disputes are definitely to arise to sort out the dispute. So this is the mechanism launched by which government can be very proactive in resolving the disputes relating to the ports. So this is somehow a news, but not that very important to know in that much detail. Then, but this is must have some idea on this. Then go to the international relations section. So here it is acquisition and crossing service agreement. So this is, India cannot live in isolation. No country in the world presently can live in isolation, and that is called the strategic relations we are developing. Recently, what this news is? Recently, India and Japan signed a logistic agreement that will allow armed forces of both the sides to coordinate closely in services and supplies. The agreement is known as Acquisition and Cross Servicing Agreement. But this agreement is this one, Cross Servicing Acquisition. This is the concept, acquisition and cross servicing agreement. So similar agreement we have signed with America earlier. India signed similar agreement with USA, Australia, France, Oman and Singapore, because we are emerging as a global power and as a sea power in that blue economy or a major ocean power. So that is what we are trying to develop or cement our relationship with similar neighboring countries having similar mindset. So the benefit can be commensurating to, it will be mutual beneficial to both the sides. After with USA, Australia, France, Oman and Singapore, so India signed such an agreement with Japan. What is the agreement? What it stands for? It is aimed at a greater maritime cooperation in the maritime or marine sector, and can upgrade India-Japan naval exercise, as both countries are expected to share maritime facility for mutual benefit. Both have the riparian states in the Indian Ocean. There is a big dispute on between that China and Japan, that the Hokkaido Island and all this Shikoku Island, and Japan is trying to take the support of some neighboring countries like India, and even it has a good relationship in this with USA. It is trying to take other Asian nations, so like Singapore or like Vietnam, etc., to its group to counter China. And because India is a major naval power, Japan also feel it wiser on its part. Let be close with India, so our maritime interest can be better protected. So the maritime development, the cooperation in the field will be better, and they will be definitely strengthening the maritime security for both the sides. It establishes the enabling framework for closer cooperation between armed forces of both the countries in reciprocal provision of supply and services while engaged in bilateral trading activity, United Nations peacekeeping operations, humanitarian international relief and other mutually agreed activity. Because normally when the naval forces of one country is deployed near the other country, so for getting the services or soliciting their other supplies. So the country will help each other for repairing their vessel, for ensuring the supply to their persons in the fields. So when they are in the bilateral trading activity, while they are on the UN peacekeeping role or any other international humanitarian relief activity, so they will be helping each other. The supply and services include food, water, transport, airlift, petroleum, clothing, communication, and medical services, which are the basic essential when both the navies of both the country are operating close to each other. So they will be helping each other in supplies and services. So that will cover area like food. Here it is being given. So they will try to take the issue of food, then water, then transport, airlifting, then petroleum, clothing, communication, medical services. So they will be in close tune with each other. They will cooperate each other in this field. It will also enhance the interoperability, assist in maintaining regional security, and further increase the bilateral defense engagement between the two countries. Since few years, India and Japan are conducting bilateral naval exercise, joint naval exercises. This is a symbol of cooperation and mutual dependence and mutual trust on each other and closeness or proximity between the two countries. So in this situation, so this will definitely one step ahead of further cementing this relationship. It will remain in force for 10 years, such a long period. See, because these two sides they agreed to start this or maintain this relationship or this agreement for a 10-year duration, because if and it has a provision will be automatically extended for another 10 years unless one of the party decides to end it. That means initially this will be for 10 years and automatically extended for another 10 years. That means both the sides have immense trust on each other, so they want to go on go for such a relationship on a long term, and 10 years is a long period and another 10 years subsequently will be automatically extended. 20 years is a too big a period to be close or mutually dependent and share each other's expertise in the maritime field. The agreement is being interpreted as coming together of Japan and India when India is having border shadow with China at line of actual control in the eastern Ladakh. Definitely, since the Chinese issue that emerged that few months back, so India is trying to get international support by presenting its genuine cause before the international community. And fortunately for India, the entire international community, so most of the powers of the world, they have supported India and expressed their support in India's stand, and they have acclaimed India's position in this particular Chinese-India dispute. So, and this proximity with Japan is definitely one step ahead in giving some moral boosting to Indian confidence to counter another neighboring country called the dragon, China. In 2019, India-Japan defense, if you go for this defense deal, India-Japan defense cooperation in 2019, India and Japan had first ever ministerial level 2+2. This is very important. 2+2 dialogue. This is very important. India-Japan held the first 2+2 dialogue between which two ministry? Defense Ministry and Foreign Ministry. This is important for examination. The 2.2 dialogue between India and Japan are related to between two ministry. The first is the defense ministry, second is the foreign ministry. This is 2+2 dialogue. So the defense minister of India and his Japanese counterpart, and the foreign minister of India and his Japanese counterpart, they have been interacting since 2019. This is seen as an endorsement of the special strategic partnership between India and Japan, because from a mere political relationship, both the countries are right now going towards a strategic partnership. So one is a relationship, mutual cooperation. Next is strategic partnership. Right now they become partner in the strategic domain. So that's an advantage for India, no doubt. Then both nations share a common vision of a free, open, inclusive, rule-based India-Pacific region in which principle of sovereignty and territorial integrity are ensured. That means no country have any territorial ambition against the other, and they respect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country, because these two are inherent aspects and very attached to each country's what you call this, its relation with other. So here, if a country have a ill will against the sovereignty or territorial integrity of another country, this creates rift or schism between both the sides. But this way, India and Japan are working on common principle. So what is the common vision? The vision is for a free, open, inclusive and rule-based India-Pacific region. From Indian Ocean to the Pacific region is a very straight, long stretch of water, and this area has become very hot due to this conflicting zones between India, China, and Japan, China. So American entry into the domain. So this is becoming very volatile. So this is where both have been cooperating as a common with a common forum, like a free, open, inclusive, rule-based India-Pacific region. And second is India-Japan defense forces organized a series of bilateral exercises, namely JIMBAX naval exercise. So Shinu Maitri, that air force exercise, and Thermo Guardian, the military exercise. So that means, so we have the Navy, the Air Force and the military, so that the armed forces of the two countries are regularly conducting such exercises, and with India, Japan and with USA, we are conducting that Malabar exercise, this one, the Malabar exercise regularly. They are all our steps towards strengthening our own security in cooperation with neighboring countries and other equal-minded nations. So this is what both the countries are also part of the quadrilateral security dialogue. What here it is, the Quad is a quadrilateral dialogue. Here that India is there, Japan is there, USA is there. So they are trying to develop this. Then so India needs sophisticated weapons and technology from Japan. So more collaboration and cooperation can be beneficial for both the nations. There is a huge potential as far as Make in India is concerned, because in the Make in India, the program launched by the government, which sector got the maximum response? You know, the defense sector, the defense manufacturing. Once it is allowed to the Make in India initiative, so the biggest response in the Make in India initiative has been to the defense manufacturing, because here the government is the ultimate customer, and government's credibility encourage entrepreneurs to come and produce the things, because the entire product in the defense sector will be taken by the government, and government being the ultimate consumer of those products, and government being the ultimate authority in the country with credibility. So much response has come to the defense manufacturing in the Make in India initiative. So this will, because in Make in India initiative, the joint production in that defense sector, we allow foreign companies, foreign manufacturers to come and establish their plant in India. So through Make in India, that will definitely help in strengthening Indian technology and create and brand Indian image in the international community in near future. That is definitely good to the advantage of India. Then comes, there is a huge potential as far as Make in India and defense is concerned. Joint ventures could be created by merging Japan technology with Indian raw material and labor. So two good combination. India has the potential of huge stock of raw materials and a huge trained labor, and Japan has the technology. If both combine, Indian raw material, Indian labor and Japanese know-how or Japanese technology. So that will be like a boon for both the sides, and both combinedly can flood the global market with their products, because plenty of materials or natural resources in India and the huge manpower in the productive age groups that is available in India. India's biggest asset right now is human resources. So that will definitely supplement, if supplemented by Japanese technology or Japanese know-how, which has the most credibility in the world. So they can just march around the world with their products, flood the market with a credible, good quality products which Japanese collaboration make from India, and that is what the advantage. Then we will go to next topic in the Indian polity section: cooperative labor in Odisha tribes. So you see, tribes in Odisha. No, Odisha, there is so many tribes living in Odisha, and some are primitive tribes. More than 60 tribes are there in Odisha, and the tribes are the most neglected, backward, vulnerable section around the country. So also in Odisha. The concept of labor cooperative in population is popular among in almost all tribal communities in Odisha, including the Dongriya Kanda, the Juanga, the Lanjia Sora, then the Sora, then the Didai, then Paudi Viya, and the Kanda. So, what this concept? What is the need of this cooperative labor? Need farming on the steep hill slopes require more labor, which a single family cannot provide. Therefore, they have evolved the indigenous system to engage the labor available in the community to accommodate, accomplish the farming tasks of all the family in the village. This is the agricultural cooperative initiative. Normally, this goes on. This is nothing new, but this is more organized right now. Normally, if you have the experience to see the agricultural practice in rural India or even in the tribal belt, so normally the agricultural activities are conducted by the women folk, and they never charge wage from for such activity. Rather, they are exchanged for each other. That means, suppose a family A has the farm work today, and the female labor available in family B, C, and D, they will come forward to work for the family A in their transplantation or in their harvesting activity, and when the similar activity will be required for family B, C, or D, A will go. So that is what, instead of paying in cash, they pay in their labor. They substitute their labor for each other activity. This was going on for centuries, since time immemorial, on every unorganized way. But through this mechanism, right now this is being done in a very formal way, or then formalized. What is the benefit? These cooperatives ensure all family of the community are ensured food and no field remain barren, because there is instances where one family has the field but they don't have adequate number of labor in their own household. So they have to keep some field as idle or fallow land, because they cannot go for cultivation in that. But if through this cooperative, the labor available in the neighborhood, each willing or can be brought to work in this field where more number of labor is required. So in that case, definitely the entire field can be put under agriculture, and the generation of employment will be there. And the most important thing, it will lead to more productivity. More productivity will definitely improve the economic condition. And once they are engaged in the activity, they are going to get their due. So that is what the things is that. So it has been highlighted two things. All family of the community are ensured food and no field remain barren. So because they will be working in the field, no field will remain barren. And once they are working in the field and they are producing, it is quite natural that so they will be getting their basic food grade. So this is what is the project. Then what is the cooperative in different tribes? So different tribes. So I was given here. I don't want to elaborate on them. The Lanjia Soda, the Juanga community, so all the Togoria Kanda. So whatever they practice, so there is a concept called labor sharing. What has been highlighted here. So normally they go for labor sharing. So they share the labors as they discussed. Then all are, that is the region for which this is being done in a more organized way. So what they are doing earlier are being given a more formalized structure. So this news also will give you some more detail about the tribes in India, because this may come as a question in the examination. Write about the tribes in Odisha for the assessment examination, and also even in the UPSC main and the Viva. So if a candidate is going from Odisha, he usually asks a question on the tribes in Odisha. So Odisha has home to 62 tribal communities. So keep in mind, this is what I am highlighting here. So Odisha is the home to 62 tribal communities, and some among them are very primitive tribal groups like the Bonda, Dadia, the Damburia Kandas, so the Juangaj, the Langia Saura, the Lodha, the Mankidia. So they are the most primitive tribes. The 62 tribes are there. Odisha has a substantial tribal population, and a number of programs have been launched by the government, central government, the state government, for development of the tribes. Like the ITDA, Integrated Tribal Development Agency, have been created. So tribal development programs have been launched. So they have been given market link, they have been given skill training, they have been given SSG or self-help group have been organized. So lot many activities are done, because those tribals being vulnerable, being the vulnerable section. So they must be assimilated with the national mainstream, and government here want to bring them at par with the national mainstream through different programs, and that is possible only through education, where that slightly lagging behind, and giving them more economic avenues to work and earn a decent living standard. That's what. Then there is a very big news on the economy section. India among the top 50 innovative country. This is something to be well acclaimed, because innovation make the country an expert or a global power in the global context. Recently, the Global Innovation Index 2020 was released by the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. India is at the 48th position in the list of top 50 innovative countries. Earlier last year, India was at 52 position or 52nd post, 52nd rank, and this year it has come to 48th rank. This is, you see, fourth place improvement. Good news. So government of India has been promoting innovation, Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Tinkering Lab. So because innovation can bring originality, innovation can give recognition, and innovation is always economically rewarded, and innovation give excellence. So Switzerland, Sweden, USA, UK, Netherlands are the top 5 countries. See, such big shots. Switzerland, Sweden, USA, UK, Netherlands, top 5. With a group of Asian countries, economy advancing of the ranking index indicates that gradual eastward shift in the locus of innovation is underway. This is very good news. That means the report say there is a that what is eastward shift from the western country. Right now, the eastern countries or the eastern neighborhoods of the global community, right now they are being interested on innovation, because they are very well realize that only through innovation we can develop our expertise, and that expertise will definitely give us global acclaim, as well as will also gives us economic return. The Asian economy, China, India, Philippines, Vietnam have made the most progress in index in recent year. China at the top, no doubt, because you know that China has this innovation at the focus, and India has learned from the global that outcomes, that unless we are not going for more innovation, getting more patent in our name, so we cannot establish ourselves as a global power. This has been well recognized or well realized by India. So government of India has launched so many programs for this innovation at present, to stop the brain drain, rather to go for brain gain, and provide this what this called this a ground playing field and the mentoring program. This all the facility required for innovation, and young minds are being tuned to focus on innovation, because innovation is the foundation on which a country's future development rests, no doubt. So India specific highlights: India has become the third most innovative low, medium, middle income economy in the world. This you remember. India has become the third most innovative low, middle income economy in the world. This is a very big news. India ranked in the top 15 in the indicators such as the information communication technology where we have the mastery. In ICT innovation, India has a mastery. Service exports, government online services, graduate in science and engineering, research development organization, we have a command. India improved the most in three pillars: institution, business sophistication, and creative outputs. So India has started developing in this area. So food position improvement is no doubt a big step to say as a what do you call this, boosting to Indian model. Then we see India Innovation Index 2019, which is released by Niti Aayog, our own Indian counterpart. So Niti Aayog, which is the successor of the Planning Commission, has started releasing the India Innovation Index each year, and that is ranking states in the middle of or in the ranking of innovation. So this is what government is trying to encourage more and more people to go for innovation, because innovation will bring uniqueness, innovation will bring original identity, innovation will bring recognition, and innovation has its own economic benefit also. And all these will lead India to the global superpower, what India is right now opting for or have the vision for. Then in that other area, Rajiv Mehershi panel on loan moratorium. With Rajiv Mehershi, he is a famous bureaucrat and ex-C&AG of India, and he has written a very good book on that India Year book. Rajiv Mehershi has edited a very good book. If you have the scope to read this India 2020 is a book also, big right now being India 2019, India 2020. So he published such a book with a much edited comments on that. The famous good person having command over the economic scenario in the country. So he has government has specified expert coming to measure the economic impact of waiving of interest and interest on the COVID-19 related loan moratorium. You see, this pandemic COVID-19 has brought the economy to a standstill and this support to everyone. So government has declared the loan moratorium. That means the interest has been not made compound, and the payment of these installments have been deferred for 6 months. Initially for 3 months, for April, May, June. Subsequently till September, July, August, September. Government has extended the moratorium on that EMI payment as well as on interest payment, or that what you call this compound interest payment. But that is going to affect the banking industry because they will extend, because government decided to give this facility to people, but the banking industry and the financial institutions will definitely be at a disadvantage. So that's why its impact on them. So government has appointed the committee to verify or to make an assessment of the measures of economic impact, or what the impact on the financial institutions of this loan moratorium. So the expert panel will be chaired by Rajiv Mehershi, former C&AG, and will submit the report within 1 week. But the tax given to it, it will measure the impact on the national economy and financial stability of waiving of interest and COVID-19 related moratorium, because on some loans government has given the interest waiver, and on some there is a moratorium, but they have their impact on the financial sector in the country. What is the real impact that we assess? It will also give suggestion to mitigate financial constraint of various sections of the society in the respect of measures to be adopted in this regard, because although government has been giving this declaration to the banks, they are not charging the EMI and even not charging the compound interest on the loans they are giving. But so people's economic condition after 6 months has not improved substantially. Even right now, many people are not in a position to continue repayment. So 6 months is a long period for the banking industry to carry such a huge burden, which is overdue or NPA burden, which remain due because people are not in a economically condition to pay back the loan. Just I'll take 30 seconds. Sorry. Okay, so that's why this committee has been appointed to ensure that this had so make an assessment what is going to its impact and what more can be done to mitigate the negative impact both on the people as well as on the financial institution. So the background, the move came as various concerns have been raised during the ongoing hearing in the Supreme Court in matter regarding relief sought in terms of waiver of interest and waiver of interest on interest and other related issues. Because so when the bank charge interest for this period and bank charge interest on interest, compound interest on the loan due. So there is so many cases filed in the court, including Supreme Court. So that led the government to find or appoint the committee to make an assessment what is going to the impact, and accordingly government can go for some declaration. The court has extended the interim order that no amount is to be declared non-performing asset till further order. No, what is NPA? If a loan remain overdue for more than 90 days on principal and interest, that becomes NPA. Is that clear? What is NPA? Non-performing asset is a loan or advance given by the bank or financial institution which remain overdue for more than 90 days. That becomes NPA. NPA has different types, that substandard, standard, loss, standard, substandard, loss, NPA. So that we are not going to discuss, but just remember NPA. So the court has ordered that till further court order, no such loan can be declared as NPA by the bank. The court granted 2 weeks to the Central and Reserve Bank of India to file affidavit and place before it its decision taken in this regard, because the judiciary is not an expert in the field. So it has directed the Government of India in the Ministry of Finance as well as the RBI, the central banker, the money market regulator, to give the detail. So it can facilitate the court to give the judgment. Moratorium on payment of loans. A moratorium provides stressed customers extra time to repay without their account being labeled as NPA or their credit scoring being affected. Their CIBIL score is not going to fall. So moratorium is being given to them, some sort of moratorium given, that means so their account will neither be declared as NPA nor their credibility or their credit scoring or the CIBIL will be degraded. It is not a loan waiver, does not offer any discount or interest payment. No discount on interest payment. Interest will be as usual, but no interest on interest, and this moratorium will be further extended for some more period. RBI has allowed banks to defer payment of EMI on home, car, personal loan as well as credit card till 31st August 2022. It has been declared by the RBI as a relief to the common man. That means EMI on home loans, on car loans, on personal loans as well as on credit card has been declared till 31st August 2020. Banks are not charging that, but since September has come, banks have started charging all these things. RBI has also allowed lending institutions, bank, to defer interest on working capital repayments, a move aimed at addressing the distress among farms and production is down. So the working capital of the farms, so that is not to be paid back right now because manufacturing has been affected to a considerable extent. So this is a good news for the economy aspect. So then let's see, because in each day we are giving you two different types of questions. One MCQ pattern, we expose you to that some short notes, short questions MCQ pattern in the exam trade in the preliminary, and we are discussing one long question which to just encourage you to go for developing writing habits. Here is a question: urbanization has long been associated with human development and progress, but it has been observed that urban setting can also lead to significant inequality and health problems. Discuss the statement. Urbanization, the present trend around the world, shows in India and in many states, because urban migration is the biggest challenge. Urban migration led to urban overcrowding. So urban area being economic active areas, economic activity is more there. So more people come to the urban area. So that led to burdening the urban infrastructure. Over 34% of Indian current population lives in urban area. See, this is a UN report. So urbanization associated with the human development, and urbanization has the potential to augment economic activity, provide employment opportunity, extend basic services, Throughout history, cities have been the main center of learning, culture, innovation. Obviously, so more people migrate. Ongoing rapid urbanization has potential to improve well-being of society because more urban area means more better facility for the people. Although only around half of our people live in the cities, they generate more than 80% of the GDP. That means see economic potential to the urban area. Although what is the percentage? So half population of a the global community live in the cities, but 80% of the GDP are generated from the urban area. But the issue of urbanization challenges poor nutritional health, then obesity, urban crimes, proliferation of slums, then pollution, waste generation are the big challenges, and crime also are the big challenges of the urban area. But we cannot stop urbanization. So the way forward for that, although urbanization has become an irreversible trend, we must tackle the root cause of problems such as improving the socio-economic situation of the urban poor. Some example of policy and practices that should be considered includes policy addressing urban environmental issues such as plan urban space and tax on the use of vehicles, reduce use and encourage vehicles that use less fuel, as well as encourage bicycle use, walking and other forms of human transportation, because urban areas are more polluted because of the vehicular pollution. So we have to find the alternatives, environmental or ecologically means sound, ecologically balanced, ecological friendly alternative mode of communication. Okay, policy addressing urban environment such as greater cooperative planning between the rural and urban regions to improve food security, subsidy for farmers providing locally produced, unprotected and low cost food to urban setting, because urban area have adjacent rural area. So there must be cooperation. The products of the nearby rural area, they should be able to come to the urban area, so the urban poor will be able to get the on supply of those things. Then social protection and universal health. So that, because health is a very big issue, and in the pandemic period, you see urban area are the centers of this pandemic spread. So although infrastructure has been created at a very rapid speed by the government at the central level and state level, still urban area are more susceptible to this pandemic than the rural area, because urban areas are more overcrowded. So that's what. So and urban people are more in the economic activity. They venture out of the home. So that is why. So more and more infrastructure should be created, and the disparity. Another issue is that reduced wealth disparity in the urban area. There is a huge disparity in the wealth because there is multi-story building adjacent to the that property. So that is to be somehow, because government has the mission that providing dwelling units, clean drinking water, so power supply, sanitation facilities. So all have been created, and government want that. Even you have done some program where urban facility are being given in the rural area, like the urban mission. So that urban mission, you want to provide rural facility, a rural area, the urban facility. That's what government is trying to do. But urbanization is a trend, we cannot stop it. So we should try to cope with the urban challenges and ensure that the urban people are getting all the humanitarian support from the government, and if the rural area are well developed, it will to some extent check unnecessary migration from the rural area to the urban area. So here is some MCQs. The sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation SATA scheme is launched by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Alternative fuel will be used. That consider the following statement: ozone occur in the both the stratosphere and troposphere. In the atmosphere, ozone found in the atmosphere the harmful air pollutants. So which of these are correct? Both are correct. So then it refers to Global Innovation Index 2020. So what is the alternative given here? It is released by the WIPO. Correct. India is ranked in the list at the top 10. No, India is at the 48th place, not in the top 10. So one is right, others are not right, two is not right. So option is A. With reference to the 5-star village scheme, consider the following statement. It is launched by the Ministry of Rural Development. It aims to provide universal coverage of flagship postal schemes. So both are true. With reference to the served ports, so the following are correct. So it is a platform for settlement of disputes through the arbitration in the maritime sector. It is right. It has been established under the Socialist Act 1860. This is right. So answer is both 1 and 2. So this way, each day we are trying to update you on the developments and leaving it to you that how you will be getting all the developments in a very quick manner. At the click of a mouse, everything is available. We are trying our best to give you whatever is possible from our side, but we expect you that you should update yourself on a daily basis, because current affairs will be delayed for 1 day. You will be losing interest to pursue it. Then go to the next 15 or 16 issue. So it is Market Duta project. So Karnataka government is likely to prescribe the center for approval of the construction of this project on Kabri River. Kabri River is a very big dispute. Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. So this is so many are there. It is another issue where the Karnataka government is prescribing the central government for ongoing or for giving approval for this project. So this can be taken up on a very fast manner. That is what is being given. So this meaning a goat leaf is a deep gorge situated at the confluence of the river Kaveri and its tributary Arkavati. This is proposed reservoir site situated in Ramnagar district of Karnataka, about 100 kilometers away from Bengaluru. It is the midst of Kabari Wildlife Sanctuary. The 9,000 crore projects aim to store and supply water for drinking purposes for Bengaluru city. Around 400 megawatt of power is to be generated. You know, since last few years, the Silker Valley of India, Bengaluru, is going through water crisis. Okay, and because the groundwater level there have been drastically reduced, there is a big fall in the groundwater table in Karnataka and especially in the Bengaluru. So the Silker Valley of India is being threatened. So government has started launching a program by which the river water can be drained to fulfill the demand of water in the Silker Valley of India. The project was first approved by the Karnataka government in 2017. The received approval from the Ministry of Water Resources for detailed project report and for the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. The approval from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change is crucial because 63% of the forest area of the Kabari wildlife will be submerged. It's the biggest challenge because the wildlife sanctuary 63% area will be submerged. That's why it is being held up. 5,051 hectares of forest will be submerged, including 3,181 hectares in the sanctuary and 1,870 hectares in the reserve forest. This is the biggest hurdle in this project. That 4.75 thousand million cubic feet of water will be drawn from the reservoir to partially meet drinking needs of Bengaluru. The Tamil Nadu has approved the Supreme Court. Again, the project in Karnataka has taken that it could not afford the water to Tamil Nadu. So that is what the dispute is going on. The reason for opposition of Tamil Nadu, because always in the Kaveri dispute, two big reference states who fight each other, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So this is the position of Karnataka. So Tamil Nadu will definitely oppose because Karnataka is the upper Iberian state. If this is constructed, so flow to Tamil Nadu will be interrupted, like the other disputes between the two states over Kaveri disputes. So Tamil Nadu is opposed to any project being proposed in the upper appearance unless it was approved by the Supreme Court. Karnataka has no right to construct any reservoir on the interstate river without the consent of the lower appearance states like Tamil Nadu. It is there already. The project is against the final order of the Kaberi Water Dispute Tribunal, and in which the SC Supreme Court held that no state can claim exclusive ownership or asset right to deprive other states of the water of interstate rivers. Okay, the central water dispute, this one. So that and the Supreme Court. Okay, Central Water Dispute Tribunal (CWDT), Central Water Dispute Tribunal, and the Supreme Court has found that existing storage facility available in the Kaveri basin were adequate for storing the and distributing water to Karnataka's proposed ex-facie untenable and should be rejected outright because Karnataka want to add another reservoir for its own requirement, but it is going against the interest of Tamil Nadu because water flow to Tamil Nadu will be interrupted or will be affected because The summer crop of Tamil Nadu depends upon the water flow from the Kaveri river from upper riparian Karnataka. There is always the metro dam dispute there. Karnataka, so all over Kaveri river between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu there is always dispute. So as the Karnataka government is trying to build one more reservoir to store water of river Kaveri and its tributary to supply water to the Silken Valley of India, the new city, which is being affected by severe water crisis for the last few years. So this is being opposed by Tamil Nadu. Okay. Then the next one, very emerging issue, hybrid war by China. You know, China and India are right now face to face, and it is being projected that any time war may break out. So the Chinese aggressiveness has some foundation like its economic potentiality, its military superpower strength, okay, and its hegemonic tendency. And the most important is the present power center or the present political setup and the decision makers. So hegemonic personality. They want to establish China as the global superpower, the number one country in the world, and that hegemony is being reflected in its policy towards other country. So also with India. And as the army of both the sides are stand up, they stand up on the two sides for few months. China started launching the hybrid warfare by China. Chinese company, okay, Jinahou Data Information Technology Company Limited is monitoring 10,000 Indian individuals organization in its global database for foreign targets. This is a very sensitive information. Recently, that has been surfaced that the Chinese company, so they have collected data on 10,000 Indian individuals, politicians, bureaucrats, industrialists. So India's Huju and some common people, including the state level leaders, and this is a big threat perception. So what the method they have adopted? Okay, the Jinahou monitors the digital footprint of its targets using artificial intelligence to across social media platforms, maintain an information library which includes content not just for news source, forum but also from papers, from patients, meeting documents, even position of recruitment. That means it has penetrated to data level. Database of the company called Overseas Key Information Database OKIBD has entries from USA, UK, Japan, Australia, Canada, Germany, United Arab Emirates as well. Not only India, but it also keep on focusing on the country like USA, UK, Japan, Australia, Canada, Germany, United Arab Emirates as well. Target include individual, institutions in politics, government, judiciary, art, sports, business, technology, and civil society. See, entire gamut of the people are being under scrutiny. Linked to China government and intelligence, this company counts the Chinese government, intelligence and military among its clients because this private company or this is a company which collect all the data from this country and it's who are under its clients. Its clients have the government, Chinese government, its intelligence agency and the Chinese military are among its clients. That means these data are being shared by this company to the Chinese government, the Chinese intelligence agency and the Chinese military agency. So that is a big threat perception. So that's why data safety is a big word, a big concept being discussed in the country right now because this is a hybrid warfare. So the Chinese can use their expertise in the field to hijack or to create problem for Indian system. Then the link to China government and this company provides as its clients. However, the China government has denied having asked the company to provide data and intelligence stored within other country territory of the Chinese government. China never say everything openly and honestly. When this news was surfaced, China government told that I have never told this company to collect any such information on my behalf or whatever it is collected to share it. But the implication, what's the implication? The information can be used for strategic and intelligence service of China for hybrid warfare. That is possibility because no one in the global community right now is trusting China. No one around the world because since the COVID pandemic. So China is so every country is suspicious over China and its hegemonic tendency is being has emerged the biggest challenge for everyone. In the legal aspect, the data monitoring by the agency cannot be covered under the Information Technology Rules 2011 under the IT Act 2000 as it covers personal data, not information available freely or accessible in the public domain. So it collects personal data. So in India have two laws, the Information Technology Rules 2011 and the IT Act 2000. So these are cannot be used. So this is what the exemption will give. The rules are also not impose any condition on the use of personal data for that marketing. Though it emphasizes data collection by consent, which is not done by the agency, the law is impossible to impose in a foreign jurisdiction. So this is but this is a big threat because China cannot be trusted and China has the intention to use this data and launch a hybrid warfare by putting inconvenience to the system. So background, so this other country China, in Lebanon, Russia, so they have this system being at times used. So what is the threat perception? Cyber attack can be undermining democracy because China is a communist country, so it never tolerate democracy. So it may be trying to uncivilize a democratic country like India, as a big state. But government of India should think of ahead. Okay, so this may create also social discord because this data can be misused or ill-represented in different forum. So that will definitely create inconvenience of the government, and this may lead to creating social tension. So that is what. But government should think way forward. That should establish process to develop national approach or self-assessment, threat analysis, institutionalizing the process regarding threat and vulnerability. The hybrid threat are an international issue. So India should try to mobilize an international support against this because this being an international issue, so India can very well mobilize international support for it, and India has very well successful in mobilizing global public opinion in its favor on all Chinese activity earlier. So hopefully on this issue, because this is not only to India but to many other countries, so the global public opinion can be very easily mobilized by India. So that will be much advantage or much easier for India to mobilize global opinion and make rigid rules on this in its own country, so it can counter this. Then there is another international news or a bilateral issue. Indian shift on Taliban. Taliban was a ruling faction in Afghanistan. It is a military faction, but very closely integral part of the Afghan society. Taliban being a militant section or a militia, Indian authority or Indian government initially cut off all relation with it and never have the intention to brought it to negotiating table or any interaction with Taliban because it realized that Taliban is a militia and government of India don't want to have any interaction with the militant group. But recently, realizing the ground reality, India signaled a shift in its position on engaging Taliban by participating in the commencement ceremony of intra-Afghan talk between Afghan government and the Taliban at Doha in Qatar. Since the American withdrew from Afghanistan is going to be a much volatile situation. Although a civilian government is being there, but the Taliban threat or the resurgence of the Taliban forces have again get mobilized and they are trying to challenge the authority and creating or enhancing the threat perception in Afghanistan, creating political instability. So, any permanent solution to the Afghan conflict is not possible without Taliban. It has well been realized by the international community. So India realized this. The Indian presence in the Indo-African peace talk indicates that it has changed its position, given the ground reality Afghanistan and the changes power structure in Afghanistan. USA withdrawal has given Pakistan a major role in Afghanistan directly or indirectly through the proxy called the Taliban. Taliban emerged from the madrasa in Pakistan, and they under Mullah Omar took over power, rule in Afghanistan, give asylum to that Al Qaeda, and that ultimately led to the World Trade Center attack. And after that, the global opinion was mobilized, and there is a attack on the Taliban rule of Afghanistan, and American forces remain present till last year. And although normalcy has been ruled, a democratically elected government has been established over there, but Taliban as a force has not been put to the background. It is again re-emerging or resurgence, that is called Taliban resurgence. So, any permanent solution on Afghanistan must with the involvement of Taliban. India realized it. So, India believes any peace process in Afghanistan must be Afghan led. This is very important. Remember this. The key word Afghan led, Afghan owned, and Afghan controlled. Because as an independent country, as a sovereign country, it must do everything on its own without any outside command, outside direction. It may take the support of outside countries as its allies, but allies cannot be the dictating powers. So India realized that any permanent solution in Afghanistan must be Afghan led, that means led by the Afghan government. Afghan owned, that means it must encompass the entire stakeholders in Afghanistan, and Afghan controlled. So that means the entire peace process and its outcome must be Afghan controlled, not from any outside party dictation. It has to respect the national sovereignty and integrity of Afghanistan. It also need to preserve the progress made in establishment of democratic Islamic State of Afghanistan. The interest of minority, women, vulnerable sections of society must be preserved, and issue of violence across the country and its neighborhood has to be effectively addressed, because India's big threat is from the Islamic militant group like Taliban, Al Qaeda. So India wants to be an active partner in Afghan development, because the Afghan government must be very close to India. So any anti-Indian activity should not be permitted from Afghan soil, nor backed by the Afghan government. Unlike we have a neighboring country, Pakistan. So most of the terror activity from the cross-border terror activity are promoted in India by Pakistan. So if Afghanistan joins that, then it will be very unbearable, very difficult situation for India. So since the days of Afghan reconstruction, India has been playing a very commendable role, and the Afghan government fortunately is always a pro Indian establishment and always in very close tune with the Indian government. Close rapport we have. But India's interest in Afghanistan, India has a major stake in stability of Afghanistan. India has invested considerable resources in Afghan development. Afghan parliament will have built the parliament building. We have given them, donated. Okay, then the highway, then the Friendship Dam, the Salman Dam, we have constructed over them. So we have given them the ultra modern hospital. Okay, so we have rebuilt the Bamiyan Buddhist statue, which have been destroyed by the Taliban attack. Okay, then Afghanistan is the gateway to Central Asia. So that the port we are also developing over there. So that is what we want to develop, that Afghanistan, because that will definitely develop our link with Central Asia. But the issue, India is concerned about Taliban in Pakistan. India's Afghan policy continues to be assessed by Pakistan. Taliban also has link with Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, etc., which are very active in India. India still does not recognize Taliban. However, it considered the option of entering into direct from Taliban. It would consider major departure from its considered policy, because although India has not yet recognized Taliban, But realize that any permanent solution to Afghan issue cannot be possible without involving Taliban. So that's why in the Afghan peace process or Afghan talk, when Taliban is a party, India decided to join. So overcoming its previous reluctance to join such motion. Then there is a concept in polity that monsoon session in the parliament. We have three sessions: the budget session, then the monsoon session, then the winter session. The longest is the budget session. Next follow the monsoon session. Then the shortest is the winter session. But this monsoon session, because as per parliamentary provision, there should not be a gap of more than 6 months from the reassembly of the house. That last meeting of the house and the reassembly of the house. Gap should not be more than 6 months. That's why we have three different sessions. And extraordinary sessions can be also called by the President of India. But we are discussing the monsoon session. The monsoon session of Indian Parliament has been delayed because of the COVID pandemic. So, following all the guidelines, pandemic guidelines, government decided to conduct the monsoon session. So that means but it has suspended the question hour of the session and also curtailed the 0 hour. Question answer session has been considered that cancelled. 0 hour concept has been not be given because so minimum number of MP will be joining. All MP will go through the COVID test, and because as a train, as a practice, the gap should not be more than 6 months. So government decided that it should conduct the monsoon session because otherwise this will lead to a gap or a breach in the parliamentary practices. The President of India is empowered to summon each house of parliament from time to time. Maximum gap to sessions should not be more than 6 months. The session of parliament is period between the first sitting of the house and its prorogation. So normally budget session, monsoon session, winter session are discussed. The session of parliament contains many meetings. Okay, these are in detail, you have read it. But what are the major issues? See, pandemic is a challenge. Our top leaders, elite, the government, the cabinet, the council of ministers, and our esteemed member of parliament, most of them seniors. So they decided we will not be apprehensive or express our sense of fear towards this pandemic. So we should sit and discuss the issues facing our country, decide some bills, resolve, so adopt some provisions. So that's why they decided to hold it. But as per news that came yesterday, Parliament session will be cut short because after the session started, more than 30 members have been tested positive, COVID positive or Corona positive. That is why, although they have expressed their courage to travel to Delhi, discuss the issues of the public, but the ongoing pandemic has led the government to again think of curtail the session to cut it short. But this is what we are able to arrange the session. Then Indian brain templates, the team of neuroscientists from National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. So they have developed Indian brain templates, okay, and a brain atlas, human brain, yet to be unexplored domain, because all creativity are from our brain. So this is the brain mapping is being done, and this agency, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, the agency which have been mapping this to develop. So taking some people's healthy brains, 152. So this is what 152 healthy brains have been scanned, okay, to bring out a report on the mental caliber and study over 500 brains from India patients to develop 5 sets of Indian brains templates and a brain atlas. This is something in the science and technology that you should read. Then the Hindi Divas, 14 September is the Hindi Divas. So it's not the national language but the lingua language. Okay. World Hindi Day is observed on 10th of January. Okay. Hindi language and also name of the Persian word. Hindi meaning land of the Indus River. Okay, Turkish is married. So this is the little given. You can read it, nothing to be elaborated. Then there is a news on the UP Special Security Forces for National Security, and there is CISF, Central Industrial Security Force at the Government of India. And right now, because more and more industry are developing, so they need protection from threats. So state governments are also developing their own industrial security force. Like Odisha government developed its own industrial security force. Similarly, Uttar Pradesh government has decided to create a special security force to protect its industry or safeguard it. There is a question here: health outcomes are results of an interaction of forces ranging from level of expertise of health personnel to the civic sense of population. The present scenario, health is the biggest challenge. Okay, so in this situation, we are recounting, reassessing our health infrastructure and our civic sense. So in this pandemic, we have rated our health infrastructure, tested the resilience or the capacity of our health infrastructure, both physical and manpower. So they have been tested. And second thing, the biggest challenge is what is the civic sense, our own hygienic sense of the common people to take the face the emerging health issue. So the problem has in the health sector, lack of primary health services is comparatively very backward. Supply side deficiency, that means so the health infrastructure is supply side deficiency. Suboptimal public health system, so it's not up to the mark. Okay, then health what affects it, hospital infrastructure is very poor. Level of expertise in health personnel is also not up to the mark. Then civic sense is lacking in the country among the people. So all these, the pandemic has exposed for us that this is the high time that our health system, health infrastructure, health personnel, as well as the public on health awareness and civic sense on that very sensitive to hygienic condition are a must for a better health scenario in the country. There is also MCQs in this with reference to Singapore Convention on Mediation. Consider the following statement. So it will provide a more efficient way of enforcing mediated settlement of cooperative disputes. It is an United Nations Convention. India is yet to sign the convention. So this is what. Then there is with reference to Parliament sessions. Consider the following statement. So Parliament is required to meet at least twice in a year. Okay, recession is the period between two sessions. Parliament, but the minimum twice, but the gap should not be more than 6 months. So this is 1 and 2. Then either reference to that in reference to the Indian brain template, consider the following statement. It is a representation of the various brain messages and developed by the National Institute of Mental Health. Both are true. And so with reference to the Hindi language, Hindi the official language under Article 34. Okay, so it's the linked language, not the official language. It is also an 8 scheduled language. Yes, it is the 8 scheduled language. Okay, which of the following include the Central Armed Forces? Okay, National Security Guard is there, Assam Rifle is there, BSF is there, SSB is also there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these are correct. Are the Central Armed Forces. So this is what are the MCQs. Then we'll go to the next day's development. This is this will go to the 17th September. So steel industry in India. India is a major steel raw material supplying country. India has a big demand for steel. India is a major exporter of steel also in the world. Major producer and exporter of steel. But India has a big potentiality. So number 1 is China. Then is India. So here, in according to recent information, 7 Indian Ministry of Steel and Lok Sabha, Indian steel company, including the public sector steel company like Steel Authority India Limited, have consistently enhanced their capacity, production and sell duty, including export over the years. Because steel sector is emerging, is growing in a country because of some regions. First is there is domestic demand is growing, so India's export potential is growing. So quality steel from India is being produced, so the global demand for steel is there, so India is able to export it. India was a net exporter of steel in 2019-2020, and during the period April to August 2020, steel export from India have increased by more than 153% in comparison to the same period last year. That is a big news. Good news also. Capacity for domestic crude steel production has expanded from 109.85 million metric ton per annum to in 2024-2015 to 142.29 million metric ton per annum. 109 million metric ton per annum. It is, what is this? So 109 MMT million metric ton per annum to 142.29 million metric ton per annum. This is the improvement, substantial improvement of more than 30 million metric ton. Crude steel has gone by 88.98 million metric ton from 2014-15 to so 109.1 million metric ton per annum in 2019-20. That all these are manifestations of the rising steel production in India. For the region, the challenges there, by skill training center under the Ministry of Steel, for example, National Institute of Secondary Steel Technology, Punjab, Institute of Steel Development and Growth, so there are skill training centers in India. The public sector enterprise like the Steel of India Limited and the National Steel Limited, they are also major producers. The central public sector enterprises are also making continuous efforts towards reducing the operational cost through technology induction, enhanced productivity and stimulating the production. This is the advantage or benefits. And but the challenge is steel sector need more capital. Our productivity is low potential utilization because their potentiality got low optimum potential utilization steel plants. Then huge demand is also there. Okay. Then inherent quality of the products. Our products quality are not that good. So our export the global community are being not that very proactive. There is a national steel policy, very important. Remember this. The government of India published the National Steel Policy 2017. It is to create a technologically advanced and globally competitive steel industry that promote economic growth. Because steel industry is a raw material intensive industry. It gives employment to huge workforce, both skilled and unskilled. It can contribute to the country's economic development because this is one of the basic and heavy industry. So this has very big potentiality, and the National Steel Policy want to put more emphasis on this. From a mere exporter of the raw materials, Government of India is emphasizing on value addition, production of steel in the country. So through the public sector like the Steel of India Limited, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, lot many private entrepreneurs, private companies have been tied up their agreements and they have established plants, and even the foreign companies, they have been invited to start their steel plant in India. Both domestic company and foreign companies, they are being allowed for this, and that has led to a substantial increase in the steel production. Then there is a news, USA sanction against International Criminal Court. ICC was created at Hague. Okay, so it was created at the Hague in Netherlands to take up the criminal cases. So recently, US announced sanctions including asset freeze and visa ban against two officials of the International Criminal Court for their investigation into alleged war crimes by US forces and CIA in Afghanistan since 2003. Because when the American forces are deployed in Afghanistan in the post-World Trade Center attack by the Al Qaeda, being given asylum in Afghanistan. So the American forces, when they are deployed in Afghanistan, there is allegation of crime against them, war crime. So the ICC has started inquiring, investigating against two officials of American Central Intelligence Agency and the American military forces that have enraged America, and America has declared asset siege. The US stand not only sanctioned against officials. Earlier, USA criticized ICC as not that very impartial or having vindictive nature. So this is what, but this is overall. You just read this. US has considered ICC as a threat to US sovereignty. US has never ratified the Rome Statute, which created the ICC in 1998. US administered also the ICC a thoroughly broken and corrupt institution. The ICC stands on USA sanction an unacceptable attempt to interfere with the rule of law and the court of judicial proceedings. It stands firmly by its staff and officials and remains wavering in its commitment of discharging independently and impartially the mandate laid down in the funding treaty, the Rome Statute. So that's what America says, that I am not a signatory to the Rome Statute which established the ICC. So that cannot be, and ICC being vindictive. It's not that doing the things in a very genuine way. So when American interest is affected, American officials are targeted. So America did this against when other countries' officials are targeted by the ICC. So America supported ICC. But when its own officials are being targeted, so America is backtracking. So putting sanction on them. Recent decision has been criticized by the many countries, United Nations, European Union, 10 member UN Security Council, so including UK, France, etc. also oppose or they have criticized the American decision because ICC playing its commendable role. The International NGO Human Rights Watch has observed that by penalizing war crimes investigation, US is openly sliding with them. The USA action is setback to the international rule-based multilateral order. The decision of sanction anybody assisting ICC will deter victims of violence in Afghanistan. Then this is the pros and the cons. Why America is opposing the global reaction? What the global community say? By doing this, what is going to be its impact on the international scenario or the international criminal justice system? What is about the, there is a news about there is some write-up about the ICC, International Criminal Court. ICC is an intergovernmental organization, an international tribunal that is sit at Hague in Netherlands. It was set up under the ad hoc tribunal to deal with Rwanda war crimes proved ineffective. ICC has a justification to prosecute individuals for the international crime of genocide. Genocide is mass killing, parasite killing, crime against humanity and war crimes. ICC is based on the principle of complementarity. ICC was not created to supplement the authority of national court. However, when its state legal system collapsed, when the government of a country perpetrates heinous crime, ICC can exercise jurisdiction. ICC is a court of last resort. ICC began functioning from 2002, 1st July, the date that the Rome Statute entered into force. Rome Statute created ICC. Once it entered into force after ratification, so ICC became functional from 1st July 2002. The Rome Statute, the modern treaty which serves as the ICC foundational governing document. This is what. And then there is a news. We will not discuss more on this. So then methane hydrate in the Krishna Godavari basin. So methane, the next unexplored fuel. So methane hydrates in the Krishna Godavari basin. So big potentiality. So here it is a big option for India to explore and also to supplement to the India's energy requirement. Did it? So nothing to be much difficult to understand this. This is not a very. What is a methane hydrate? Methane hydrate is a silicate solid that consists of methane molecules surrounded by a leakage of interlocking water molecules. So that will be extracted, and that is right now under scientific purview or scientific development. So drilling technology and all these have been developed right now to extract it as a source of energy. Graphene mask. Recently, researchers from the City University of Hong Kong have produced a laser-induced mask for graphene mask that inactivates the coronavirus species. The biggest threat, coronavirus. So you have the SMS. S for what? Social distancing. M for mask. And again S for what? Using sanitizer. So this mask, the bell, to protect our nose and mouth, the major infection source through which the COVID-19, the coronavirus virus can enter into human body and may bring a risk of life. So different mask, 3-layer mask that it is right now compulsory to use the mask in any country, and Indian government has made it compulsory, and it is offense right now if someone is not wearing mask in public places. So graphene masks are able to kill. Okay, so inactivate. So other masks, like a cotton mask, they can inactivate. They just can check it from entering the nasal strain of the mouth. But this graphene mask can inactivate the coronavirus. So development underway if possible. So definitely this will be a big contribution of science in saving the life of the people. Promotion of Buddhist sites, this is in Indian art and culture. So you see what are the steps taken? So this darshan scheme, prasad scheme, iconic to these sites, Buddhist conclave, diversity of language. So prasad scheme is the national mission for pilgrimage innovation, and Puri is added in this in Odisha. So the name of the scheme has been changed to Prasad National Mission on Pilgrimage, Rejuvenation and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation. Prasad in October 2017 when the new government came to power. So that's what. So many schemes have been launched for. So this darshan to promote that central scheme for development of the tourism circuits. So Buddhist circuit, that Gandhi circuit. So these are being all being developed right now. This is a huge. Then comes, this is not a very big issue. Then we will go to the next issue. This is the question. India is one of the major hubs of illicit drug. This is a very important question for you. Drug use or recourse to drug. The big issue right now because of the balloon disclosure. That balloon disclosure. What happened over here? The Sushant Singh case. So the use of drug, narcotics in the that cinema world has been explored. Narcotic Control Bureau, the Central Investigating Agency, so they have apprehended so many persons, trail the entire drug trail. But India is a major medium of drug trading around the world because India is located between the Golden Triangle and the Golden Crescent. So that is what she in the subsequent issue we have given it. Okay, the Golden Triangle. Okay, Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand, and the Golden Crescent. Okay, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan. We are in between. This put India in a very threat or in a very what it is very volatile situation when Indian youth. You have seen it in the movie called Odisha Punjab. So how the youth in Punjab become addicted as the carrier, then the addicts. So curiosity developed, they became carrier. Lack of employment or some few amount of money, they initially entered into drug and carried the drugs, and that led to them developing curiosity and become addicts. So what the EG border means porous border. Okay, many of the drugs are cultivated in Afghanistan, processed in Pakistan, pushed to India to be pushed to other international destinations. So porous border, evolving way of trafficking. So different new animals are used, humans are used, so vehicles are used. So they design being a very lucrative trade. So they design different methodology. Even they risk their life to be a carrier of the drugs. Limited control. We have the limited manpower. The Narcotic Control Bureau and the other enforcement agency have limited power. You see the simple example. This drug finance there in the balloon industry for so many years. Narcotic Control Bureau has come to picture just now after a very big issue, and seeds spread that highlights that this drug finance. And you see the recent drug siege in Odisha, in Bhubaneswar, and it's very. So contrabands, these drugs are well traded around the country, but the lack of adequate manpower in the enforcement authority has not been successful in properly enforcing the drug. Then unaffected supply. So supply chain never remain unaffected. So this goes on. One supply chain blocked, parallel chain open. Because the drug traders, the drug peddlers, they have developed parallel chains. They have created being a very lucrative trade. So huge crores of rupees, $1,000,000 generated by this foreign country supported it, like the ISI of Pakistan is a major drug peddler in India. So the illicit drugs cultivated in Afghanistan, they processed in Pakistan and pushed to India to the support of the ISI or Services Intelligence of Pakistan. So that is what is the major scenario in India. And although government has a policy, government has a strategy, but lack of adequate manpower is a major issue. But we should be made aware. Government should be more proactive. Enforcement should be much proactive. So this can be controlled. The short notes are also reference to the inflation indices in India. So the inflation is measured by the CPI. Yes, earlier it was measured by the WPI, but right now they are being measured by the Consumer Price Index. The CPI is published by the Office of the Economic. No, it is published by who publishes the who publishes the CPI. It is not by the Office of the Economic. No, it is by the Finance Ministry. The Monetary Policy Committee released Wholesale Price Index data as controlled. No, it is right now the Consumer Price Index. So answer only one. Then two, it is exceptional grant is granted when the amount authorized in Parliament for any service is funded to be insufficient in that year. Okay, vote of credit is granted for meeting an unexpected grants on the resources of India. No, supplementary grant is granted for a special purpose and forms no part of the current service of the Indian finance. So it is supplementary grant. So grant or by supplementary grant. With reference to methane hydrate that we discussed in the KG basin, it can be extracted by drilling the ocean floor. Okay, so this now it can be extracted by, so one is it is a formal, it is formed when the hydrogen burned water and methane gas come into contact at high pressure and low temperature beneath the earth. It is right. It can be extracted by drilling the ocean. No, it is the standard elevation, so not the ocean floor. Anywhere. With the reference to the graphene, consider the following. It is a atomic. It is one atomic thick. It is an allotrope of carbon. It is the strongest known material. So all are correct. It refers to Prasad scheme for this tourism place renovation Prasad place. It is objective is renovation and spiritual augmentation of important national pilgrimage and heritage site. The project identified under this scheme are implemented by the Minister of Tourism. So by the state government, not by the Minister of Tourism. State government, central government give the fund, but they are implemented by the central government give the fund, but implementation agency in the state government, not the tourism ministry of the central government. Let's see the last day's news. Okay, so this is the news of 18 September. Parliamentary committee reports on startup. You know what is Startup India? Startup India is a program launched by the government to encourage entrepreneurship, to give the youngsters the startup money, the handholding facility, the incubation facility. So more and more entrepreneur or young entrepreneur can emerge in the country. They can go for starting their activities, and India will be on a growth trajectory in the global scenario. Indian startup needs to reduce their dependence. So the recent Parliament Standing Committee and the Finance Development Report lead to startup in Parliament. The government of India has initiated Startup India in 2016. Startup India. Just remember this, Startup India was launched in 2016. Okay, but recently the report say Indian startup need to reduce their dependence on China and USA. So it should be indigenous. Atmanirbhar Bharat. Small industry development bank should be fund of funds. Vehicles should be expanded, fully operationalized to play an investment role. So there is a fund of fund created, but the fund in that fund of fund managed by should be more. So it can be able to fulfill the demand of all the startups. The fund of fund, also known as the multi-manager investment, the pool investment of funds that invest in all the types of funds. Fund development financial institutions may also be encouraged to participate in the local asset management company. Bank, then comes abolition of long-term capital gain tax, etc. And this is what are the suggestions given by the parliamentary committee. Then Startup India scheme, you very well know, the tax on them should be exempted as security tax, capital gain tax, small industry development bank of India's rule. They have been highlighted through this. Okay, this is what we have to see. India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Startup India launched 2016, but within a span of 4 years, India emerged as the third global startup ecosystem in the world. 28,000 startups recognized in the country by Department of Promotion of Internal Trade and Industry. India home to 32 unicorns. Okay, the current median age of the founder entrepreneurs is 31 years, means young entrepreneurs are going for startup. 29 states and union territory have their own startup policy in India. Okay. On an average, 12 job created per startup totaling up to 3,50,000 jobs. This startup has been giving such job opportunity. Okay. Women entrepreneurs, more than 43% of the total startup in India have one or more women directors. That's the women empowerment. The entire startup ecosystem raised 50 billion funding between 2014 to 2019. See, leading startups, fintech, enterprises, health tech, e-commerce, logistic are the one, two, three, one. Okay, so highest comes to e-commerce, 11.7 billion, followed by fintech, financial services, 7.7, 5.7 billion dollar. Then followed by enterprises, 3 billion. Then by health tech, 1.4 billion. Then logistic, 1.2 billion. This is what each about the startup. Then there is one international news. The Abraham Accord, Israel, UAE and Bahrain. The Abraham Accord between Israel, United Arab Emirates and Bahrain is made by the USA. It is the first Arab-Israel peace deal in 26 years. Previous agreement, there were the only two peace deals with Israel and Arab states because Israel and Arab states are fighting since the Second World War period. Egypt was the first Arab state to sign peace deal with Israel in 1979. Jordan signed in 1994. The agreement, the year Bahrain established embassy and exchange ambassadors working together with Israel across a range of sectors including tourism, trade, healthcare and security. This is purely a scenario where more and more Arab states are becoming close with Israel, the Jewish states. Initially, the Arab world was anti-Jewish. They don't want the Israeli state, the state of the Jews, to be created in the Arab world. Okay. So that's what. So because the Arab world was against Israel, so they decided. So in the changing geopolitical circumstances, they want to have link with the most advanced nation in that area called Israel. So more and more Arab countries are becoming close with Israel. So initially who signed it, and right now more and more countries are signing with this. That's what. This is the news on that. Then we'll go to the next news. India is very much interested in that West Asia because India has interest on oil. India is close to Israel. India has a close relation to the United Arab Emirates and other country for getting this capital from those country to get the oil security. So that's why India's link is also there. So there is a Wildlife Fund's Living Planet Index report 2020. So this says that at the present position of the that living organisms in the world. According to the Living Planet Report 2020, the population of vertebrate species has largely declined in the past half century because of human factor. The human factor, okay, so that is responsible for the killing of large number of species. Okay. Then they want that what is the methodology, living planet index, they have to be discussed that they have been given in to you here. Okay. Then comes that's shown some emerging threats, threat to biodiversity. Okay. It is like that. Biodiversity means change in the land and sea use, including habitat loss and degradation. The biggest issue because through human intervention there is a big habitat loss and there is over species over exploitation. Human being have overexploited different species. Then pollution level has increased, that is another factor. Invasive species and disease is another emerging threat. Then climate change are the major issues that are threatening the life on the universe. Okay. Then comes there is a new science and technology stamp on satellite on ASAT missiles. You see, a customized mine stamp on Indian fast anti-satellite missile ASAT launch was released by the Department of Post. So that Department of Post, Government of India, releases postal stamp on the anti-satellite missile. India has the distinction of launching the anti-missile satellites. So recognizing that, the government in the postal department has released a stamp on this, give recognition to the Indian scientific community. This is the news on that. Then there is a news on remeasuring the Mount Everest. Okay, Mount Everest has some peaks. Mount Everest, Mount K2, Kanchenjunga. So all these, so starting the heights are again being remeasured. Some are in Nepal, some are in India. So this is what a step has been taken for remeasuring it. The first survey was done in 1847 by a team led by the Surveyor General of India, and subsequently this is going on. Then what is the need of remeasurement? Why it is to be done? Because Everest current official figure height has been widely accepted since 1956. Okay, so it needs to be remeasured. The height of the summit changes due to tectonic activity. Like there is earthquake in 2015 in Nepal. There is a possibility that there is some change in the height that needs to be. In measurement over the decades and also depend on who was surveying, because technology has developed. Right now, technology can be used for remeasuring. The joint effort presents national pride of Nepal, which will come up with own finding of the heights, because so other governments are doing it. Right now, the government of Nepal, they will do that on its own, and the survey of India will do this by supporting Nepal in this way. Okay. Then this is a good question. There is a political question. Arjun motion need to be not to be that discussed, because the Arjun motion notice was moved in Lok Sabha about the surveillance of key Indian personality at the farm of Chinese government. That what we have discussed previously. Chinese farm has, there is a news that the Chinese farm is surveying over 10,000 Indian persons, politicians, bureaucrats, academicians, businessmen, moving personality, even state chief ministers, state authority. So they are all doing this. So that is the reason for which so an adjournment motion was moved in the parliament. So to highlight this issue, okay, that is the reason for issuing this, and it is a matter which definite actual, urgent and public importance. Adjournment motion can be issued if the matter is that urgent, it's that important. Okay, not cover more than one matter, be restricted to specific matter, not raise a question of privilege. These are the issues. But what is the main issue? What is an adjournment motion? Why the present adjournment motion has been raised in the parliament? That is what. Then comes here, there is a question: without a focus on habitat conservation, success of Project Tiger may lead to human-animal conflict. You know, Project Tiger was launched in the country to protect the wild cat, but it has been expanded. But right now, there is a big fight between man and animal in the Project Tiger area. It's not that the wild cat has ventured to human habitat, rather just the reverse. The human being, they have ventured to the domain of the wild animals. That's why. So how to resolve it? This means good relationship. Approach should be better. So this conflict, according to Tiger census, approximately there are 2967 tigers in India. It has fallen to around 1400 3-4 years back. At present, due to the measures taken by the government, it has increased to some extent. This is a good news. But this is the number of man-animal conflict is emerging again and again. That's why there is a discussion going on that how to stop this. So this can be taken in a symbiotic relationship. So both can coexist because the regions for this is, so what has been highlighted, habitat loss, that is a big issue. Okay, there is other issue like the, so in case of, because man has been venturing to the animal domain, so loss of habitat has led the wild cat go for changing the approach. Right now, it should be more in tune with the requirement of the time. Man cannot be the master of all the animals. Rather, human being is a superior species, so it should be taking care of others. So, habitat loss was made, the man intervention has led to habitat loss. A territorial animal like a male tiger needs 60 to 100 square kilometers because it's its jurisdiction for movement. Territorial animals do not have enough space within reserve and the prey do not have enough fodder to thrive on. That's the emerging challenge. This has forced the wild animal to move and venture close to human habitation. Increasing infrastructure development has led to aggravation of the situation. Apart from highway and railway, irrigation projects are coming up in the tiger regions. That's a big challenge, like the Ken-Betwa river linking. Also, wildlife experts estimate 20% of the tiger in India are outside the protected area. They live outside the protected area. The effect of that, man-animal conflict, outcome of the conflict is very severe and not only results in the loss of crop to farmers but also to decline wildlife population, but because human being kill the animals. Because one life, human life killed, resulted in a reverse attack by the human being on the wild animals, and that is supplemented by the unlawful element, the poachers and the others who try to kill them for their own benefit, killing the tiger skin, the tiger bones, the ivory of the elephants, so animal body parts trading, some animal trading. That's goes on. That's why right now this is being done in a more proactive manner by the government. How to check it. Then what the way forward, according to wildlife expert, if wildlife protection is confined to reserve and park alone, this is not possible. So it can be confined. So other area should be clean and they should be boxed to their own area. The Great India Mustard, which is a Schedule 1 animal, despite having sanctuary in itself, the bird has been driven to the brink of extinction. Although protected area has been given, but it has not done like that. So this is what the steps can be done. Event of human-animal conflict are increasing. Hunting of prey animals. Effort can be taken to better wildlife management. Okay, safeguarding tiger corridors. They are the requirements. So here it is a concept. The tiger population seems to grow in some states. This is good news. In your examination, especially for civil services, the question comes: make an assessment of the project tiger. Why, after spending crores of rupees, the project tiger is not successful? You have to say the reasons for that. Why you launch project tiger? Are there problems for that? Are there challenges for that? And what more steps can be taken? Okay, so this is to be done in a more organized way. Then here some long questions. Which reference to Living Planet Index? Which of the statements are correct? Released by the Judicial Society of London. It is a major of the state of wild biological diversity on population trends, habitat species and its territorial habitation. It's not only one is right. Which is the following statement about the phytoplankton not correct? They can swim in the clean water. So this is not correct. With reference to specifying concept of following statement is a biosignature. This is only made naturally by the aerobic bacteria. It is also used as a chemical weapon. So it is used, no doubt, as a chemical weapon. Okay, and it is also a bio signature. It is not aerobic bacteria. The reference to adjournment motion. Okay, so adjournment motion is introduced in Lok Sabha. Draw the attention of the House. Obviously, right to move to monitor for a adjournment motion. The House is subject to restriction that it should be not raised in a posting of privilege. So, on someone who did this can be an important issue. Both are right. Which of the following river the market to project is located? Kaveri. This will between Kaveri and Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. See, overall, what we cover today, you have to get acquainted with the practice. So, you are preparing for civil service. If you have come with reading of these materials, take these classes as supplement, which will expand what you have read, and this will also supplement or add you in writing your answer in the preliminary and the main. It's not that something will be again dictated to you and you will be writing. Method should be, we are in advance providing you all the informations in printed format, uploading in your site. You just go through them. In case of any query, so keep that highlighted and go for some writing practices. So that is the most essential requirement from your side. Hope your next class will be taken by respective teachers and you are acquainted with a particular system. So that will be again repeated because of some emergency situations. So we have to change to this pattern. And the method and the just I saw the feedback, it's not being accepted by some. The issue is that there are two issues major. You are acquainted with one system, changing to another is difficult. Second is we should always go for an upgradation. Concepts are being given. Don't depend to be against spoon-fed tale. Everything given to you, you are expected to know something more than what has been given over there. Establish the link and how to write the answer. Hope in the coming classes, your regular teacher will take up and discuss your issues in the format in which he is discussing. And last, before concluding, you who are preparing for the examination for UPSC from Odisha or from West Bengal or for the state services from both the states, you are either to write in English, majority of you. So be acquainted to learn the concept in English so you can be capable to write in English in a better manner. Many students, they feel that let us know the things in other local languages or let develop that subsequently. That's not the right approach. From the day one, it may be little difficult initially, but get acquainted. If you learn at least 10 words, 5 keywords, expose to 10 sentences, you will be able to develop that. Ultimately, the examination, you are to show your own caliber, because those who are sitting for this examination, none is compromising on his preparation. All are serious students. Most important thing is that you are to clearly have an edge over others. That can be through a proper learning, a clear understanding, and a lucid rating with the facts and analytical ability. This being the past class, I have a limitation of being according to the system. That means my limitation. And this is a very short notice section that needs more preparation, maybe from your expectation. But my sincere advice to you all will be get acquainted with the language in which you will be writing the examination. If you learn 100 words, you will be able to remember 50 and you will be able to write 30. And you communicate in that language are the Bible. Preliminary is just the first stage where you are getting the question and the MCQ. But your real strength lies in the main examination. And I am real more concerned with the main examination than the preliminary, where you are stuck up right now. My intention is to give you the next version. So prepare you all for the next level of preparation if you are for the civil services. For banking, SSC, etc., this is not the class for you people, because the level of the communication is much higher than the level at which you can grasp. Civil service needs a completely different preparation module, and you are to be in tune with that from day one. If you are not developing that mental frame, it will be too difficult for you, and when time will come, you will feel that somewhere or the other I am lagging behind. Thank you for cooperating, because from my side, I am not acquainted to the system first class in this domain. Although I have taken so many classes there in the recording format. So the system I am not well acquainted and have not got that session practice also. From the next onward, your regular teacher will take up the classes. For this time gap, I was somehow able to manage it. But my sincere advice to you all, because I have seen so many students clear this examination, mentor them. Don't try to compromise on your preparation. Be always anchor for something more, something better, of better quality, better standard, in which you can compete among lakhs and rank among hundreds. Thank you all for being present and cooperating. All your required queries will be attended, and if any other improvements, a regular teacher will be taking the classes from next onward. We will take up and do as per your format and your requirement. The whole intention before winding up, and my sincere advice to you all, please see the syllabus, please see the previous question papers, please see the model answers being given in the sites, and rate your level where you are right now and the time with you. That's what. Thank you all.
tiempo resolvido.